So we have been looking at methods for solving nonlinear algebraic equations, and initially we looked at this successive substitutions very briefly. So which are derivative free methods, no gradient calculation. Well, then I moved to this univariate Newton's method, basically a variant called secant method. And then the motivation for doing this is to look at a method which is intermediate between univariate method and a multivariate method. This method is called as Wettstein iterations, and then we'll move on to modifications of the Newton's method. So the derivation of Newton's method we have already done using Taylor series expansion. So this is application of Taylor series expansion, but there are many more modifications which are useful for implementing in a practical scenario. So I'll discuss about them today. Okay, so first is this secant method. So secant method, I want to solve for f of x equal to 0, x belongs to R, univariate problem. I want to solve for f of x equal to 0, and the way this is done is so this is update rule for the Newton's method, and then in secant method you just approximate this, you replace the derivatives, not you replace this derivative at is approximated as f at x . We approximate this, instead of using exact derivative, you use last two last two iterations, and then you find the next guess. So to kick off secant method you need two initial guesses, and now what I want to do is come up with a multivariate analog of secant method. Okay, so now my problem is, so this is multivariate secant method. So it's known as Wettstein iterations or Wettstein method, and what I am going to do now here is I want to solve for f of x equal to 0 where x belongs to Rn and f is a n cross 1 function vector. So this is n cross 1 function vector. Okay, this is let us say there is some way by which we can arrange this set of equations. So we essentially have fi x equal to 0, x belongs to Rn, okay, I going from 1 to n, okay, and let us say we have some way of arranging this equations into some way of arranging these equations as xi or x we have, let's say, some way of arranging this equation as xi minus gix equal to fix equal to 0. Okay, I have some way of arranging this into this kind of a form. Xi minus, a simplest way could be just add, you know, if I start from this, if I add xi plus fi x, if I rewrite it like this, I could call this as gix. I could call this as gix. Okay. So basically, I want to rearrange it. I want to rearrange it as some xi minus. Okay. This is just adding and subtracting xi on both sides. Okay. So this why I am putting it in this form, because a particular way this method is implemented. That is the reason why I am putting it into this form. But what you will see soon is that this method is nothing but a multi-variable analog of the secant method. Okay. So now what I am going to do is something like this. Okay, I am going to define this Si I am going to define this slope okay, not exactly partial derivative, but this is some kind of a crude derivative of g. Si is a crude derivative of g with respect to xi, okay, is a crude derivative of g with respect to xi, or the rate of change with respect to xi. That is how you can look at it. Okay. Okay, now I am going to apply the secant method. I am going to apply secant method to ith equation. Okay, I am going to apply secant method to the ith equation. I have these equations fi x equal to 0. Okay, just for the time being, keep this si to the side. Okay, why am I defining this si will become clear soon. Now I am going to apply okay. Now look at this, this is ith component of x vector, okay, the new one is old value of the ith component plus a correction which is like Newton, which is like secant method applied only to the scalar variable, sorry, applied only to the scalar function fi. Fi is a scalar function, capital F is the vector function, fi is the component of the vector function f. Okay, so I am taking one scalar function, taking one scalar function, ith scalar function, okay, and this is, if you look carefully, this is fi xk minus fi xk minus 1 divided by this 1 upon that has become, right. So this derivative has been computed, basically this derivative has been computed for the ith, this derivative has been computed for the ith function with respect to ith element in x, okay, and that is how I am going to generate. If you do this, this is nothing but a Wettstein method. if you generate iterations like this, see what is the advantage of this, what is the advantage of doing this way over Newton's method? First of all, you don't require explicit derivative calculations, this is only an approximation. How many such derivatives, suppose you call this as a derivative approximation, how many such derivative approximations you need? Equal to number of equations. Okay, compare with the Newton's method. You need to compute Jacobian. How many elements in the Jacobian? N cross n, right? So if you have 100 equations to solve, you have to compute derivatives which are 100 cross 100. If you have 1000 equations to solve, you have to compute numerical derivative, even if you compute it numerically, it's 1000 cross 1000. Okay, huge number of calculations. Whereas here, you have less number of calculations. So this is somewhere in between, it is not, now it does use some kind of rate information, but not all possible rates. Okay, some partial rate information is used, but not all possible rates. So this is computationally more, let's say attractive because it requires less calculations. Okay, so it does use some kind of rate information, but not fully. Okay, some partial rate information is used. Now, this is not the way it is normally reported or implemented. Okay, a slight variation is done, not in terms of the formula, but in terms of the way it is implemented. Now, which is what I am going to. Now, this derivative is same as, now Fi is xi minus gi, right? I am going to substitute that here. So if I substitute that here, it will be xi k minus xi k minus 1 minus okay, let's develop a slightly simplified notation, then the things will become. So let's call gi k is defined as gi of xk. Okay, so that if gi k minus 1, which means gi evaluated at xk minus 1 and so on. Okay, so with this notation, this derivative here, I am going to write this as xi k minus xi k minus 1 minus gi k divided by xi k, which is equal to 1 minus how was Sik defined? See, this will give you 1, right, and this divided by this is Sik. So this formula which I have here now, okay, in terms of Sik, okay, this can be written as xi k plus 1 is equal to xi k, okay, xi k. Now what is Fi? Minus xi k minus gi k. What is Fi k? This is xi k minus, we have defined it like this, into 1 upon 1 minus Sik. Same formula, I have just rewritten in a different form. Okay, same formula I have written in a different form. Well, if you were to implement, if I just go back here, if you were to implement this formula as it is, it's fine, nothing wrong with it. That itself, that will be Wettstein method. Why I am doing this is because I want to clamp some values, I want to introduce some heuristics into into my iterations. So that is where I am just doing this rearrangement. Okay. So this particular equation, now I can rearrange this as follows. Okay, I have just rearranged that equation, nothing else, just put it. Okay. Now I am going to define another variable which is omega ik, which is 1 upon 1 minus sik. I am going to introduce a new variable omega ik, which is 1 upon 1 minus sik. Okay, and in terms of omega ik, I am going to rewrite this as 1 minus omega ik xik plus omega ik okay. The reason I am doing this is to draw some parallel with successive substitution with relaxation method. This is like relaxation iterations. This is like relaxation iteration. Okay, except the omega in relaxation is typically fixed. Here omega is not fixed. Omega is changing with the iterations from one iteration to the other iteration. Omega is changing. Okay, so time varying omega, it's like successive substitution with relaxation. Okay, and now what we are going to do, this is some kind of a thumb rule to make your computations typically we try to restrict omega between 0 and some alpha. Okay, suggested value for this alpha is 5. Typically you restrict this between 0 to 5. Okay, so you are doing something like relaxation method, successive substitutions with variable omega. Okay, and omega you want to restrict between some number between 0 and 5. Okay, so all this jugglery I have done because I wanted to put this limit. Okay, I wanted to put this limit, that's why I am doing all this jugglery. Otherwise I could have so this multivariate version of secant method together with this limit imposed on omega, this is called as Wettstein iterations. This is a very popular method, and if you go to many of these plant-wide steady state simulation softwares like Aspen or HYSYS, you will find one of the options they will give is Wettstein iterations. Okay, Wettstein iterations can be performed even if the function fi is not differentiable. You don't require differentiability here. You just require evaluation of functions at 2 points and divided by, you may have discontinuities when you are writing equations for some unit operation. Okay, you may have different equations in different regions depending upon the operating region and so on. If flooding occurs, you may have some different equation. If normal operation, you may have some different equations. You can have in chemical plants, you can have these kind of situations. So we actually many times prefer this as an in-between way of doing calculations between completely gradient based and completely gradient free. Okay, so this is somewhere in between. So given a large scale problem, what I would do is, well, I would first try Wettstein method. If it works, great. Okay, doesn't work, probably I should look for something else. Okay, so because this is computationally more friendly. So is this clear? Any doubt about this? Okay, let's move on to now the Newton's method, which we have looked at. We have derived from Taylor series approximations, multivariate Taylor series approximation. Then we also did some exercises in which we solved some problems using Newton's method, right? So so you already know something about Newton's method. Now what more is there to it? So the next one is on our radar is Newton's method. And you will say, well, I already know about Newton's method. I want to solve for f of x equal to 0, x belongs to Rn, and then all that you do is at each time point is you solve for this, let's define this Jacobian at time k. To make my writing simple, I am going to use this terminology Jk. Jk is dou f by dou x evaluated at x equal to xk, okay, and then one more notation that I am going to introduce here is f k. This is function vector f evaluated at xk, okay. I am just introducing this notation so that my subsequent derivations become simpler in notation, okay. Just remember that f superscript k is nothing but function f evaluated at xk, okay. So my formula which you have implemented is x k plus 1 is equal to xk plus delta xk, and delta xk is computed by solving this linear algebraic equation, right. This is what you know right now as Newton's method, isn't it? This is what, well, one variant which is often implemented rather than doing this is to make this equation well conditioned, you pre-multiply this by Jk transpose, okay. So instead of doing this equation, okay, often this is done. In fact, the tutorial, computing tutorial which I have given you, I have asked you to modify this step like this and then solve this resulting problem using Gauss-Seidel method, right. Why? What is the reason? This become positive definite, Gauss-Seidel method is guaranteed to converge, okay. In general, when we work with positive definite matrices, matrices are well conditioned, easier to work with positive definite matrices. So this is instead of this step, we often implement this step. There is one more modification. This is called as damped Newton method, okay. Okay, so what we do here is that so one modification I told you is this. Another modification is we change this particular equation, we modify it to x k plus 1 is equal to xk plus lambda times. So lambda is chosen between 0 and 1, okay. Now what is the reason? First of all, remember when you took Newton's step, it was based on local linearization of function vector f of xk, right. How did we take this step? It was based on the local linearization. This Jk is a local Jacobian, local derivative. Okay, so actually what should happen is that when you take this step, okay, the function vector, okay, should reduce, because I want to go to f of x equal to 0. When I go from xk to xk plus 1, you know, this function vector should reduce. Now a step which is based on linearization, okay, may not ensure that at the new point actually the function is reducing, because you have done a local approximation of a nonlinear function, made some decision of mu based on the local approximation, okay. This may not lead to a good value of xk plus 1. See, what should happen? I should move towards the solution, right? Should move towards the solution, isn't it? Now what is the guarantee that if I make some decision based on the local slope alone, it will lead to you know, decrease, or it will lead to a smaller value of f, okay. To put it in little more mathematical words, see what should happen. I want that f of norm of f k plus 1, this should be less than norm of, you agree with me? When I take a new step, if I evaluate the function vector at the new point, see, I want to finally go to f x equal to 0, right? When I make a new step, okay, so this function evaluation at the new step, that is xk plus 1, okay, should actually reduce, okay, as when compared to this. Now this may not happen if I set lambda equal to 1, it may not happen, okay, because delta x has been determined using local slope, okay. So what is the way out? Okay, so why should we choose lambda less than 1? Let's look at the rationale behind it. So essentially I choose a lambda, okay, by some means such that this condition, that is function evaluated at k plus 1 is less than function evaluated at k, okay. You could do this, okay, let me go back here before I move on to the rationale. So what I want to do is, first I check lambda equal to 1. If for lambda equal to 1, if this condition is satisfied, I am happy, okay. I accept delta x, choose lambda equal to 1 and proceed with the next iteration. If it does not happen, okay, I will reduce lambda to say 0.9. For example, I will give you a very crude way of doing it. I will reduce it to 0.9. Then for lambda equal to 0.9, delta x is fixed. I am not going to change. Delta x has been found by, you know, using the Jacobian, okay. So I am going to reduce lambda. I will reduce lambda and check whether this condition is satisfied. If not, I will further reduce lambda. I will go on reducing lambda till this condition is satisfied. Moment I get one lambda for which this condition is met, okay, I will take that step. And so how this is done, one algorithm for doing this is called as Armijo line search, and I am not going to go into details of that. I have given this here in the notes. It is in table 1, damped Newton algorithm with Armijo line search, okay. So those are details as to how do you select iteratively lambda. What I want to do on the board is not the algorithm as to how to select lambda such that this is met, because that is matter of implementation. I want to give the rationale why this is done, okay. This is done, this lambda which is less than 1 is done because we are doing Taylor series approximation, and Taylor series approximation is actually valid in a small neighborhood, okay. Taylor series approximation is valid in a small neighborhood, and then this lambda actually helps us to find out what is that neighborhood where you should apply Taylor series approximation, okay. So what I am going to do now is I am going to look at this function. I am going to look at this function phi, which is, I am going to look at this function, okay. F is my function vector. Fk transpose, what is this? This is nothing but half f k plus 1 2 square, right? Nothing but norm 2 square. I am going to look at this function. Okay. Now this particular function is nothing but half f of xk plus lambda delta xk transpose. Actually, the raw method which we have studied in the beginning and which we have implemented for some simple problems works only for simple cases. Okay, to make it work for a large size complex problems, or to do all kinds of tricks. Okay, so this is a scalar function. This is a scalar function. Phi is a scalar function. Okay, I am going to now expand phi in the neighborhood of xk. Okay, I am going to expand phi in the neighborhood of xk. So my phi x k plus 1 is equal to phi. So this Taylor's theorem is like foundation, you know, it helps you everywhere, wherever you move in applied engineering mathematics. It's one of the cornerstones. Okay. Now when you are writing it like this, what is unknown to you here? Only lambda. Delta x we have already calculated. Okay, xk is known to us. Okay, so this vector is known, this vector is known. I am just now worried about choosing lambda correctly. Okay, so lambda dou phi by dou lambda plus lambda square by 2 dou 2 phi by dou lambda square and so on. I am expanding this as a function of, right? So now what should happen is phi xk minus 1 minus phi xk, what should this quantity be? Positive or negative? It should be negative. This quantity should be negative. This is nothing but, look here. Look here. This is, if I were to square this and subtract, okay, I will get this quantity. Just multiplying by half. Half is not going to make much difference. Half is a positive quantity. So this quantity, okay, is what I am worried about. Now we know that delta xk is equal to minus jk inverse fk and lambda times dou phi by dou lambda. This is same as lambda times grad phi xk transpose delta xk. Just check this. I am just doing derivatives by in succession. I first differentiate phi with respect to entire quantity, and then see this is dou phi by dou x into dou x by dou lambda. Okay, dou phi by dou x into dou x by dou lambda. I am not writing that, just skipping the in between step. Okay.